Welcome to today's Morning Report Charts Process on Friday the 15th of April with me, which Pro Market Analyst at Asset Markets. We've got this Doha meeting on Sunday for the OPEC and non-OPEC countries, and that's basically driving the sentiment. It's a little bit cautious with them sort of markets looking ahead to the possible fallout from this meeting. So traders seem to be a little bit uncertain as to exactly what to do, and certainly that seems to be sort of weighing on concerns there. So I think it's going to be a fairly cautious session generally. I think you've got just slightly down on the European trading markets. You've got the FTSE down 0.2, DAX down 0.5, so just slight losses, but nothing too significant. I think that's going to be a theme throughout the day. I don't really expect to see too much direction. And I'll show you here the oil price, which is become basically flat in the last couple of days, 3 days. Not really any real direction there. Following on from those sharp gains, we've seen the markets just start to flatten off, and no real direction there. And you've had this dollar rally in the last few days, certainly impacting across the forex markets, certainly dragging euro dollar lower, dragging dollar yen higher. And I still think this is a near-term move that ultimately will be sold into again. I see these lower highs in the past, basically 4 months. You've seen consistently the rallies being sold into, and I think that's going to continue to be a theme. I think the expectations of monetary policy still remains to be that it's unlikely that we're going to see more than one hike this year, and I think the markets are still going to have to price that in. And it seems as though that this little dollar strengthening that we've had in the last few days probably gives you another chance to sell the dollar. So you're looking out for pairs such as euro dollar going back higher again, and I'll talk about that in my chart appraisals in a bit. But as I said, at the moment we're fairly cautious. No real direction being found across these markets on Friday morning. So, what have we got to look forward to today? Well, we have a fair bit of data, not a huge amount, but still a fair bit. And you've got the New York Fed manufacturing, I should say, which is an index that has a sort of a bit of a feed through towards sentiment on in terms of the industrial side of the economy, and that has clearly been very negative over several months, but actually it's turned positive last month and actually expected to come in at 2.2 today, so remaining positive. So that would be a slight improvement on the industrial side, but that certainly is needed as we've got the industrial production at 215, and that's expected to show again 0.1% down on the month, which just reflects this continued sort of depressed state of affairs in the outlook of the industrial sector. On the year-on-year basis, still a couple of percent lower year-on-year, so not great there. You've also got the capacity utilisation, 75.4 is the expectation there. I think that would suggest, yeah, sorry, I think I've got that. That should say 75.4, not 79.4, but 75.4 is the capacity utilisation expectation there. And finally, at 3 o'clock, bit of consumer data. Now, we've recently had the retail sales data coming out just slightly worse than expected, and the expectation for Michigan sentiment is the preliminary reading Michigan sentiment is expected to be 92, so that's a slight improvement on the 91, which was the final reading of the reading last month, and that can be expected to be slightly supportive because the consumer certainly is a big driver of the possible growth. Or any sort of growth that you're getting in the US economy, that's driven by the consumer. So you'd want to see the consumer surveys certainly positive to help sort of support that argument. So my chart of the day is the euro yen. Now this is a key chart because I think this shows the sort of negativity, general sort of risk-off sentiment, certainly over the past year or so, and the sharp downside move that we saw with the yen strengthening once again through April. Just consolidated in last week, hasn't it? And it's consolidated around this key support 122 to 123 really. But you can see through several months here in the past sort of 10 months or so, you've seen consistently the supports being broken. And I think once again we could well see that that is the more likely scenario, because look at these momentum indicators. RSI is still above 30, still with further downside potential. MACD lines having turned lower, still with further downside potential. I think we could see further pressure to the downside on that 122 figure, but we're seeing this consolidation at the moment. It's actually turned into a near-term range pattern, as you can see here on the hourly chart, basically sort of flattened off. The hourly momentum indicators pretty much neutral, aren't they, between sort of 35 up to 65 on the hourly RSI, and MACD lines basically flat. But as I said, this I think is just a consolidation, and it's just likely to be a consolidation that we're seeing sort of reflected through the forex markets in front of this Doha meeting. And I think once you get that meeting result, I think you're going to get a far more of an idea of how risk is going to be played in the coming weeks. Because I think if the Doha meeting comes out negatively, then we could have a big risk-off sentiment, and I think that would certainly drag Euro-Yen lower. So I wish you good luck in your trading on Euro Yen. You've got the resistance of this band that comes in around 124 to 124.20, but it certainly looks like again today just slightly towards the risk-off element of it, and arguably putting pressure back on the 23 to 2250 was the low of this band. 2255, but it looks like it could be putting pressure on the supports. So I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I'll speak to you later. Thank you.